Hi, I'm Chris Nachman. I'm giving a talk today that I call Unlocking Synergies, a mile in the user's shoes. Basically what that means to me and what I'm trying to convey is that as a product marketing manager, whether as an individual contributor or a manager, a leader, you can, besides everything we do with messaging and advertising and go-to-market, actually help the engineering and product teams with how they think about their feature roadmap, whether that's just a feature in the product or a product all up. So as mentioned, I'm Chris Nachman, super excited to be here today. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of it all, I'll just say already from talking to people today, it's been so fun being here today and yesterday, and just seeing so many people. For me, first time doing any sort of public speaking since the pandemic started, so pretty crazy. It's been 2+ years, so take it easy on me. I'm not a comedian. I know we had a comedian up here, Gary. That was awesome. That was hilarious. But feel free. You can laugh with me, hopefully not at me. And yeah, compliance. First thing, compliance is core. So a lot of the stuff that you hear today, and just a lot of you in my day-to-day work as a PMM, is actually from the PMA core. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about how we can help our engineering teams and get insight by walking a mile in the user's shoes and helping our engineering teams build awesome products and features. So to start us off, we are all familiar with poor user experiences. And actually, I'll start this off with more interactive. Anybody here have a recent bad experience as a user of either a product, whether it's the product as a whole or a feature? Just yell them out. Healthcare in the US. Yeah, airports are actually, I feel like you could pick 9 out of 10 things at an airport and probably say it's a bad user experience. Actually, my girlfriend is here, and I should also say that she is an environmental engineer, not a product marketer. I'm still hoping you get some good takeaways. But yeah, she doesn't have TSA and I do, so there you go. I feel like that is in itself a bad user experience. So yeah, there's all sorts of bad user experience out there that can be solved by actually trying to walk in the customer's shoes and try to understand it a little better. One of the first ones I'll give, which actually I'll try throughout this talk to distinguish decisions between an actual business perspective and then the user perspective, because from a business point of view, actually this kind of makes sense, right? Like the USB-C, it's faster, it's more durable. It hasn't fully been adopted. Actually, I know in EMEA, they're moving towards every device is going to have to be USB-C, USB-C, I mean, even iPhones. But in my current state, I have so many of both these cords, and some of the products that I buy today, they're not even all fully USB-C yet. So I feel like this is one very big frustration that I have. Next, iPhone. Does anybody here have the iPhone 13? Yeah, I'm part of the Apple upgrade program, so I got conned into buying this. I'm a marketing guy, so I got the green one, just like the commercials. So I just got my iPhone 13. It's actually the same size as the 12. The only difference is they moved the buttons. So bad user experience, literally I can't use the same case just because the volume buttons are in a different spot. And then finally, this is more than a bad user experience. There's millions of troops that were on the Death Star. But I don't know who put an exhaust port that would be the single point of failure, but that probably, if they would have walked in their user's shoes, they probably could have figured that out. Okay, so that was actually just the intro. Before we get into the real nitty-gritty of it, as mentioned, I'm Chris. You can find me on social media platforms at Chris Nachman or LinkedIn, Chris Nachman. Previous experience, I was previously on the Xbox team. I helped build Xbox Game Pass into now what is an industry-leading product. 25 million plus members. I was responsible for actually the migration from Xbox Live, which for those of you who aren't familiar is the multiplayer service, into Game Pass, which has multiplayer, but also is kind of like the Netflix for games. So that was super fun. I've also done some work as a business analyst for Microsoft AI. That was really fun. I did a lot of market sizing and competitive analysis for a variety of different research projects. So that was really fun. I worked for an events startup, and sometimes those don't always work out. That failed. And then now I do product marketing for GameFi and NFTs, everything Web3 at Fireblocks, which I'll tell you guys a little bit more about later. So diving into the actual stuff. What do we know about poor user experiences? Well, from the people who do a lot of research, McKinsey, the business value of design, will dive into what they think. So 40% of organizations are actually not talking to users during development. That is actually 2 out of every 5 people. I know that's probably not representative of this room because you guys are all rock stars. But yeah, 2 out of 5 organizations are actually not talking to their users during development. And that's the whole point of this talk. You know, you need to be going out there and getting feedback. You need to be doing quantitative, qualitative research. Next, 50%, so 1 in 2, admit that they have no objective way to set output for their design teams when thinking about products and features, right? Like, you need to fix that. And both of these, at what cost? Actually, $380 million has been lost to businesses. This was in 1 year, the research, I didn't put the year in, due to bad design and or poor user experiences. $380 million is a lot. Take it from someone who works in now blockchain and crypto industry. That can go quick. And also, $380 million, you know how much Bitcoin we could buy with that? Just saying. So still same study, moving on. So still from McKinsey, design and user research is among senior executives' biggest weakness. So as you, I can't see all of them, but if you can, kind of walk through these categories, analytical research, cross-functional teams, et cetera, you can see some of the biggest things are actually about designing the product and how, how can marketers, how can we enable our engineering and product teams to really build successful products. So one, the one that is the biggest weakness is actually employing design metrics, right? So this, could be really solved by just going out and talking to your users or getting a tool that helps you solicit feedback and actually informing your product team in the roadmap. Another one I think is good to call out is a balance of qualitative and quantitative, like actually being on the ground and talking to your users, whether that's in like a focus group or an interview, versus more quantitative stuff, whether it's just like getting numbers or soliciting feedback anonymously. And then finally, one more good one to call out, right down at the bottom in the actual user experience, starting with the user and not the spec, right? So you actually want to think about the person who's going to be using your product or service and account for what they actually want or desire, not just what you think or hypothesize as a business might be the most effective thing. Okay, so why do we care about user feedback in product marketing? Well, one, we can step back from the internal view and actually walk a mile in the user's shoes. So less talk, more walk. What does this actually look like when you step back? I think like a really good example or something that we talk about all the time is like groupthink, especially in organizations. I think that like you're going to be more likely to say something you've either heard before or perhaps like your manager or your boss's boss. Depending on who you report to, you might just repeat something that they've said or the same ideas that they have. You're just going to give a variation of that. But this is actually saying like, hey, let's step back. You can do this in a variety of ways to step back from the internal view, whether that's like subscribing to RSS feeds if you are like a startup and you don't have funds to get a competitive intelligence platform. You can go out and do that on your own. As a business, like just actually tracking social media. Once again, if you don't have like a social listening tool, you can just make social media accounts that aren't your own and subscribe to just your business and your competitor. And then all of a sudden, it's like your feed is just going to be the like competitive intelligence stuff. It might not be wrapped up in a pretty dashboard, but you can get scrappy and do that. So next, uncover hidden pain points in the user journey. So this one is something like I resonate with a lot because I work very closely to engineering in all the roles that I've done. Like you can figure out and just basically like walk them through. Once again, like if you're a startup and you don't have a lot of funding, for example, or like you're starting your own project, like a great way to do this, if you have an iPhone, I'm sure Androids are the same, you can like screen record if you have an application and just bring that to your product team. And there's lots of ways you can do this. Another good one actually that I've done in my career, when I was at Xbox, right, we have a lot of different customer communications, a lot of different channels, whether it's like social, like event stuff in person, not as much anymore, but like CRM is actually a huge channel for us. And like similar to that example I gave for social, how you can like make an account and just subscribe to yourself and your competitors. Like I signed up with a fake random email to like go through our CRM process and like found out that some of the stuff that we said we were sending, like I didn't get an email for like 6 weeks. And I was like, we're supposed to be sending those out weekly. And then third, inform and nail product decisions by taking a step back and covering those hidden pain points and walking a mile in the user's shoes. You can actually inform and nail those product decisions. Bullseye. Okay, so where can we get user feedback in 2022? It's never been easier. As mentioned, like there's so many different scrappy ways. Obviously, we have some great sponsors here who have some tools, whether it is like actual competitive intelligence or social listening that you can take advantage of. But there's a lot of different ways to go about this. Some of those, these are all solicited. So you have NPS, right? Focus groups. Once again, like focus groups, surveys, and interviews. If you don't want to go out and pay for a tool, you can do this on your own and be very scrappy. Like one example, before the whole remote work scenario, back when we were still like in offices full time, when I was at Microsoft, we had a Microsoft store. If you guys have ever been out to the campus in Redmond, there's like a visitor center that has like a store. If you guys have kids and they like Minecraft, bring your kids there because there's like big Minecraft blocks, super fun. But like I needed some data points for some research I was doing, and like we didn't have easy access. Like I needed those data points that week. I literally just went and stood outside the Microsoft store. So these are still Microsoft customers, and anyone who was like buying an Xbox thing that day, I was like, hey, what do you think of this? And I like took that back. Maybe like one point there is that like you do need to be cognizant of where you're getting your data, and obviously if you are paying for a tool, it's likely going to have like less bias, and you can say that it's more well-rounded data set. But just saying, it's never been easier, and this is just some solicited ways that we can actually get user feedback and help inform the product team. Another way, another category would be unsolicited, right? And then so this is like the social listening stuff, whether that's a tool yourself, customer support, having a line where they can reach out. Community, never been easier again, especially if we've seen like the rise, whether you're a consumer product, like maybe you have a Discord or like a business product, right? Just having like a line that your customers can get to at any point. And then reviews. Okay, so let's get some like real examples and show how other companies are actually going about and doing this. 360 design score. If you take all these, mix it together, that's going to be the best way to get user feedback. Okay, so one company that does this really well is YouTube, right? Like, if you don't have funds again, but you have an awesome product team, and like you can't go out and pay for a company to do your NPS quarterly for you, an awesome way to do it would just be to like put in like a 5-point scale into your product and solicit feedback from your users, and you can calculate your own NPS score. I think this is an awesome example. I'm usually just gonna hit skip ads, so like you might need to have this a lot. You might need to have your users using your product frequently to get a good score out of here. But this is a great example of how you can build it into your product. Another one, Uber, right? Like leaving stars. This is actually a little gamified. If anyone here rides Uber, we as consumers also get a score. So this is fun because they're going to grade us and we get to grade them. Okay, now let's talk about a couple case studies, right? So as mentioned, I worked for Xbox for a while, and I was mainly on Xbox Game Pass. So I'll kind of give a product overview and talk about like what that was and why we're showing Amazon Prime. So we're in subscription economy, and as I'm sure many of us as consumers know, there are massive numbers of subscriptions that you can subscribe to and pay to these days, whether it's like subscription video on demand, merchandise, shopping. I just noticed my billing yesterday that I am still paying for like a guitar tuner app on a monthly basis. I need to cancel that one. The point being is like there's a lot of different reasons why consumers subscribe to subscriptions, and as a business, as a product marketing manager, it's kind of our job to figure out like what is the primary value proposition, or like if we're seeing high churn, like what other features can we build that would keep users on our subscription despite if we have to raise the price of our subscription. But anyway, so question up here is just with Amazon Prime, why do people subscribe to Amazon Prime? Convenience. Free shipping. 2-day free shipping. Depending on where you are. Here in Seattle, it's very fast. You can do like same day, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Anything else? Amazon. Does everyone here have Amazon Prime? Does anybody use Prime Music? Sometimes. Prime Video is pretty good. Yeah. Well, okay. So up here, I can't see as well, so I won't read them off. But there's like so many. Here, maybe I'll get closer. There's so many different like categories at the top, right? Maybe that's still shopping. But even in like the middle, right? There's like, oh, use your voice to shop with the Amazon Alexa ad. Oh, I just realized you guys can even get a sense of the stuff I like to buy. Too much money on golf stuff. I lost my headphones and fishing rod, right? Anyway, so with like Amazon, right, there's so many different things that you can subscribe to. And like people like Amazon Prime because you're not only paying, maybe you signed up because you wanted the free shipping, but you're also getting music, you're also getting video. You're getting so many different things, and it's just like on a monthly basis, you can justify the cost of that. So anyway, the case study, as mentioned, I worked for a subscription product, and we went out and we did some research, and we saw that our numbers in terms of membership were actually decreasing. And we were curious to exactly like why that was. We went out and did research, and similar to that, like McKinsey scale, one of the biggest categories for us was that users were saying our subscription was too expensive and there wasn't enough value in our subscription. Like we weren't giving our users enough stuff on a monthly basis for them to pay $15 a month. So with the Amazon Prime example, what do you guys think we went out and did as a subscription? Any ideas? Provided more value, exactly. So I actually launched this product. It's called Perks. Right, Xbox Game Pass, as mentioned, we migrated from Xbox Live Gold, so you pay $15 a month, and you would get over 100 plus games, right? So instead of going to like a Best Buy, paying $60, you would just have like an instant access to a cloud library of video games. Completely changed the model to a Netflix. In addition, you would get multiplayer. So then we were like, this still isn't enough. Like people are frustrated, they need more. So we launched Perks. Perks is essentially an extra member benefits ecosystem. It's super cool. All of these, except for Disney Plus, are like what we call DLC in like the video game industry. It's downloadable content, and those are essentially like add-ons, so like extra items, like swords and shields for your character. And then actually, what we found out is that like, hey, people don't just play video games on the Xbox console, right? Like some people are actually using this as their like home video system, right? So then like we went out and started negotiating with subscription video on demand companies. Like I launched partnerships with Disney, Hulu, Marvel, HBO, and we just kept blowing up this Perks ecosystem, and we found that this was one of the most successful retention levers for us as a subscription because we just built a product that our consumers wanted. We listened to what they wanted, and we walked them out in their shoes and launched this product. And one more cool case study that came out of, or one small piece of this case study that came out, this was actually an engagement tool, right? This is for our existing subscribers. We actually flipped the switch, and we launched a program that we called Reverse Perks that turned out to not only be an engagement lever for our product, but an acquisition lever where, say you have like a Disney Plus or a Hulu or an HBO Max, right? Like they also have subscribers that want more benefits. We showed them Perks, and they're like, we want to do that too. So we ended up giving away Game Pass to these subscriptions. So not only were we giving members to their base, but we were getting members into our base from their base, which was just super, super cool. Okay, another example. Who here knows Fortnite? Who here has played? Maybe not as many? Not anymore? All right, so maybe I'll start with in 2017 when the game first came out. I played it. I thought it was awesome. I was like, man, I'm in the Hunger Games. And then like as the kids started figuring out about it, I like stopped playing as soon as like 7 and 8 year olds were like building over on top of me. That wasn't as fun. What about like parents here? Any parents, their kids play this? Are they always asking, can I buy the battle pass? Can I go spend money? This graphic is actually not the game. This is the item shop, right? This is in store. So closed digital store ecosystems is our case study. Amount of money spent on this platform is forever gone. I'm sure all the parents whose kids play this know. I'll kind of explain this from like a base standpoint, right? Like these are all like dances and skins and swords and shields that you pay. As you can see, this small circle is V-Bucks, which is essentially, right, like you pay real world money for fake currency. Right now, users are like not really aware that like they don't think about it as much, especially like younger players, that once you buy a skin or a sword or a shield, you can only use that in one ecosystem, right? Like that money's forever gone. You can never put another real world value on it. And it's just going to be stuck in that one game. You can't even transfer it to another game, which is like a huge problem. So that's where, you know, as a user, right, as we start to think about this more and as like, you know, kids start to realize like, hey, I don't want to just like buy a skin I can never do anything with. Like there's a new solution, and that's where I'll transition. A short plug for my current role. As mentioned, I work at Fireblocks. I'm focused on like GameFi and NFTs, right? So Fireblocks is an institutional custody provider for cryptocurrencies. We help businesses traditionally, such as like hedge funds and banks and OTC, but now we're branching actually into gaming and NFT providers to help their businesses secure their wallets to enable their end users to buy cryptocurrencies. So how did that relate to the closed store ecosystem? Well, we just launched a product that I'm leading. It's called the Web3 engine. This is actually the first Web3 engine that is out there on the market. This is essentially allowing developers at gaming companies and NFT platforms to build the next generation of these types of products. It is 3 unique suites. I don't know if all 3 will show up here. I think I only put 2. But we'll talk about like DeFi, right? So decentralized finance. You can buy cryptocurrencies and generate yield for your users. And the other one, this is where that example comes in, GameFi Suite. Very new, almost end of 2021 and into 2022, there's a new realm of kind of the gaming industry that's developing, and it's called play to earn, where users actually connect like they connect a blockchain wallet to the game, and they're able to buy items, and instead of those items being stuck in one game, such as Fortnite, they're actually stored as NFTs on a public distributed ledger, which is a blockchain, and that item is in your wallet instead of just in a game. So what can you do with that? You can go and resell that on a secondary marketplace, or you can hold it as an investment, similar to how people hold stocks. You can also trade that with in-game users, or perhaps we'll maybe even get to a world where games are so collaborative that they'll let you take your sword from Fortnite into like Roblox or Minecraft or whatever the next generation of games are. So just super interesting. This is just a great example of how like my current company and business, Fireblocks, we're thinking about listening to users, perhaps maybe even before they've even quite realized that, hey, they're frustrated with their user experience. We're walking a mile in the user's shoes and providing really innovative ways to alleviate any kind of customer concerns in the way that we're thinking about designing our products and features. So that's it from me. Thank you, guys. We can open it up to some questions. Okay. When you launched Perks, you added more value for your users, but how did you balance the cost of adding those new third-party partnerships? That's an awesome question. So very fortunate when you're a brand in the video game space. It's a lot different than most industries. I don't know if I can even name another one off the top of my head. Maybe tech, because there's such avid followers. But with the video game industry, especially when you're a company like Xbox, for example, not only do you have people who spend money on your products, but you have fans, right? So you have people who love your products. And I would say that most businesses understand that the value of getting your service or product in front of an audience that is fans of their current ecosystem is super valuable. So the cost of adding those, actually, it's all in goodwill. So when I would work with let's just say a Hulu, right? We can give them a value that's based off of hey, we're gonna give you hundreds of millions of impressions. They're premium, they're highly qualified because we already know they're paying for a subscription. So they'd probably be more likely after taking your free trial to subscribe to your subscription as well. Just that kind of thought process. So actually it's all built on goodwill, and there wasn't really any direct cost, just the engineering cost to build the product. Great question. And then maybe I can say, if you want to take that example and bring it to a different industry, it's all about trying to listen to your users more, and you can build fans no matter what vertical you're in. You just have to think about how you're approaching your community. How closely did you work with your UX design team and some of the examples you shared? That's a great question, and honestly, I'll be super transparent, not that close. I think even the graphic I showed of like the perks ecosystem is a little crowded, and we could probably make a better UX. So that's an awesome question. There's always more pain points to figure out. Okay, I do agree that you can get a lot of feedback today. So the issue is, how do you properly digest and process that huge amount of data effectively and meaningful? That's a great point, and I don't think like I'm gonna have all the answers. I think this goes back to the point of like, what size of organization are you on? Like if you, like me, I'm like, as you guys can probably tell, pretty scrappy in how I like to go out and do some of my research. If you do have the funding, I would obviously invest in some kind of like social listening tool or competitive research tool, and hopefully they also have the ability to go out and build dashboards or UIs that can kind of summarize those and give you meaningful insights. For me personally, it's all about like, if I went back to my slide where I showed like solicited and unsolicited feedback, like only choosing like one or two of those that I think are gonna give me the best sort of research, so maybe like interviews and focus groups, and just focusing on those and just taking away the insights from those and just bringing those to my engineering team as we're building the product or feature, as to not overwhelm them. Okay, it looks like last one are, what are some tips for best collaborating with UX, PM, and design teams? Yeah, this is a great question. I, as mentioned, work really closely with like the engineering team, the PMs in all the roles I've been in, as well as like design teams. And to be honest, it's like, you're not gonna be everybody's best friend, right? I think like that was an awesome graphic of Gary, the elephant, like the morph of like what we think of like product and like engineering and how people think about product marketing. But it's really just showing them the value, right? Like maybe a more dated way of thinking about like the PMM role. Like some people used to say it's like the quarterback. I like to think of it as like the bridge, right? And if you can just like walk those various teams, UX, PM, design, and you say that like, hey, like I'm the bridge and like you're all driving across me to get to the common goal, like the end destination is where we're all trying to go. It's like a really good way to approach it. I always like to lead when I'm doing introductory conversations with like different organizations at my company and external that like aren't PMM teams, is like starting with KPIs, because I think we can all find common ground. And once again, it's like the end destination. If you have KPIs that are meaningful, it's like to your PM team, for example, like we are all trying to sell X many units this year, and by developing this feature, like make them feel a part of the journey in a way, has always been a good way for me to collaborate. So just kind of summarize that, right? Like find common ground, show them your value as a PMM, and really like make them feel like they're part of the journey. Anything else? We still have 1:45. We have some time to spare. I don't have any good jokes like Gary, so I guess I'll call it there. Thank you guys for having me. This was awesome, and looking forward to the rest of the talks.